Today we're going to talk about a couple different topics that maybe relate a little more to how things are working in Java and on our computer than sort of a new statement in Java. But these are really critical for you to understand how your own programs work. The first topic I want to talk about is about basically how we use other code in our own code. So far, our code has mostly just been a single class, and we have a main method and other methods in there. But eventually we want to be able to put together multiple things into a larger project. So today we want to learn about something called packages in Java, and we want to see how we use them in different contexts, basically code in the same class, code in the same package, and elsewhere, like other packages. So packages are Java's way of implementing a certain concept in computer science called a namespace. And a namespace is basically where a certain set of names are defined, and they often have some other title or name sort of grouping them together. So it's just an organizational tool. As an example, we have names like David Johnson. It's me there. Hey, I'm wearing the same shirt. And David Letterman. And how do we avoid a conflict between saying who David is? Well, we use this family name or last name. So Johnson and Letterman are different, and that puts them in different namespaces, essentially. And in fact, like a family has, a last name that provides sort of a namespace, and you have a bunch of first names all associated with that. So anyway, it's just a tool to sort of help people identify what exactly we're talking about. All right, I think when I still had my COVID beard, I looked even more like David Letterman. So packages have a physical, or not quite physical, but an instantiation on your computer. Basically, they determine the folder structure of where your compiled files go. And so you might remember that we typically work with our .java files, the source code files. And when you run your program, it compiles them into .class files, and it puts those in a folder structure on the computer. We have been mostly looking at the structure of the .java files, but the other parts are still there. And in fact, so we see here, there's a source folder. Here was a package A2 for assignment 2, and if we look on the computer, there is a folder A2 under a source folder, and so the folders reflect this structure we see here in Eclipse. Now, if you want to, you can use that full path or set of folders names to give what's called the fully qualified name, and it basically tells you exactly how to get to some particular method or object we're trying to use. So, for example, there's a scanner class. We never talked about it, but I know it keeps popping up a little bit in some of the Runestone books. And it lives in a Java package, and inside you can have nested packages. And inside the Java package is a util package, and then inside there is a scanner.java file that has the scanner class. So this multiple series of names with dots between them is a fully qualified name. Now import lets us use identifiers without the fully qualified name. So for example, I wanted to declare a new variable, java.util.scanner s was the variable name here, and I can make a new one of those objects with the same fully qualified name. Or, which is more commonly done, is you just get the name of the class, scanner, and up top you import Java util scanner. And so that basically lets your file know about this other class and where it is. And so if you're using that in any sort of significant number of times, it's nice to import it. And in fact, in Eclipse, if you just type like s equals new scanner hi, it'll be squiggly here, and it'll have a quick fix that suggests importing that for you. And so often you can get Eclipse to do it for you, which is kind of nice. So if I have a method, a static method like we've been writing ourselves, you can basically use it anywhere it's own class, which we've been doing, like from main, you just call it. In other classes, you have to prepend the class name in front of it. So if it was like in assignment 2, small methods, you'd have small methods dot method name. And if it's in a different package, you also need to import it. All right, so let's see how that works a little bit. In fact, let's go ahead and just kind of write some code here too. So here I am in the Lecture 8 class, and I have a say hello method written here, and I'm going to call it. So that is no big deal for sure. Get rid of that extra line there, and if I run it, it's happy. Okay. If you're in the same package, you can basically prepend the class name and call it. So I'm going to, let's see, we're here in this default package. Let's make, what did I just do? I expanded that. Let's add a package, new package, and I'm going to call this Lecture8 package. And you know, classes we start with a capital letter. Packages we've been doing lowercase. That's just Java convention. We're not going to create package info. Okay, here's Lecture8. In Lecture8, I'm going to make 2 files. Lecture8a, and I'm going to make main, and I'm going to also make another class. Come on, running a little pokey here, and the class Lecture8b. So we have a single package with 2 classes inside it. Lecture8a, Lecture8b. I'm going to go back to Lecture8 here and steal the say hello and put it in Lecture8a. Okay. Now in Lecture8b, I want to call that method that's in this other class, and we're allowed to do that. We haven't done it yet, but we can do it. So how do I do it? All I need to do is, notice these are in the same package, right? Lecture8. So I'm going to give the name of the class that it's in, Lecture8a, and I'm going to tell it I want to do say hello. And that is enough information for it to find it. Basically it says, okay, there's no other fully qualified name here, there's no import, so let's go and try to figure out where it is, and we're going to look in the same package, right? And if I run this, it prints hello. Okay. So that's not too bad, but again, we haven't really used this class name in any significant way yet. And at some point, you know, we're not just going to call things like Lecture8a, they're going to have some names that mean something like sorting class or something like that, right? So it'll look more meaningful. Now what happens if we want to get something in another package? So I'm going to add to this, maybe a bad idea, mess this up. I'm going to add to my assignment2 package another class, new class. And I'm going to call this Lecture8 ABC, I guess we're up to. Although I could call this Lecture8 because it's in a different package, so it doesn't conflict with the Lecture8 elsewhere, right? So I'm going to go to this. And in here, I would like to call say hello. In order to do that, I need to give the class name Lecture8a, say hello, and it doesn't know, or it's not saying I kind of know about it, I found it, but you haven't given me enough information yet, so I want to make sure I'm using the say hello that I should know it from. So it says here I'm going to import Lecture8a class from the Lecture8 package. So I'm going to say that, sure. So import from Lecture8 package, Lecture8 class, then I can use the Lecture8a class down here and call its say hello. And it runs. Notice that that was a little bit important because there are actually multiple versions of the say hello floating around, and you want to make sure you're calling the one that you want. So you have to be, you can't just say, go find me one and call it. You want to say, I want to use this one, the one that's in the Lec8a package, and it's in this class, and I call say hello. All right, so that's three different styles, right? One is, again, it's sort of important to know where you are and when you need to do it. It's the same class, you just call it. You don't need anything special. Same package, just add the class name and it'll find it for you in the same package, and then the name of the method. And in another package, you have to import the package dot class name and then call it with class name dot method name. All right. Now instead of importing, I could have done, let's get rid of the import, I guess, or comment it out. I could have given the fully qualified name. So that was Lecture8 package dot Lecture8 class dot say hello. And in this case, it doesn't seem like such a huge difference, but again, if I'm trying to call a bunch of stuff from that class, it's nice to import it and just use the class and the method name, and not the package. So let's say we want to print out. Here's an example that's from using the Java sort of built-in stuff. So here I'm going to have an array. I'm going to make an int array vals, and I'm going to initialize it with 268. So those are the values at index 0, 1, 2. And if I just print it out, and we're going to talk more about this in the later lecture, later video today. If I just print out vals, prints out something called it's basically its reference. It's this weird number, right? And we're going to talk a little bit what that means, so don't panic yet. But I want to see what it actually looks like. So there is a hello. Okay. There is a static method in an arrays class, already built into Java for us. And you say toString, in other words, turn this object into a string. And looks like I have everything there. And what's the problem? This is in a different package. And so I either need to give a fully qualified name, or I need to import it from Java util, the Java package, and inside that the util package, the arrays class, and then down here I call it with the class name and the method name. And when I run it now, it prints out in a nicely formatted way something that looks like an array. And again, we use those square brackets to kind of indicate this as an array. All right, so that's kind of stuff we'll be doing. And again, I normally caution against using the quick fix kind of stuff, but in this case, it's nice to not have to go look up where Java util is. It just says, hey, you want to add this in there, and that's fine. All right, thanks. Oops, I clicked the wrong stop button.